On February 11th, the California State Legislature approved a budget bill that included an obscure provision to legalize payments from LA County to all the judges of the Los Angeles Superior Court and give them immunity from criminal prosecution and liability. Full disclosure covered the Superior Court hearing for injunctive relief filed by Judicial Watch. Sterling Norris of Judicial Watch summarized the situation.
The LA County judges got $46,000 extra. They got a raise in 1997 of $46,000. Now that would put a question mark in anybody's mind of how did we get this money? Are we entitled to it? And not one judge stepped forward and said, I'd like a declaratory judgment if this is legitimate and right. And it took Judicial Watch to bring it to the court.
Judicial Watch won their case, Sturgeon versus County of Los Angeles, in the California Court of Appeals, which officially declared these payments illegal. Paul Orphanides explained how Judicial Watch is fighting their way through this legal quagmire.
California law allows taxpayers to come into court and to file, to ask that any illegal expenditure of funds be enjoined, so that they ask the court to declare expenditures illegal and to ask the government be stopped from paying whatever the illegal expenditure is. And we're arguing here that these benefits are illegal under the California Constitution, and therefore this court should order the county to stop paying it.
So what happened in court today, we asked him?
We asked the court to find that the statute passed by the legislature last February was not sufficient to allow the county to continue to pay judges $46,000 a year in extra compensation.
We were confused by the convoluted problem caused by the court hearing an issue where the court itself was a defendant. This an interesting aspect of this whole thing. That was the court, the Superior Court of California, or Los Angeles, has intervened on a case that involves the judges who were employees of the court.
Actually, they're not employees of the court, but you're right. The court in which our lawsuit is pending, we never named the court as a defendant. We only named the county as a defendant and some of the county supervisors and some other individuals. The court, LA Superior Court, intervened in the case as a defendant. It asked the court to allow it to come in as a defendant. And today, the court asked the court to enter summary judgment in its favor, which is pretty extraordinary, I think, and it certainly creates some questions of appearance of whether or not a court can serve as a party and it can make decisions that affect the court in which it sits.
How can that court make a decision on the court? And I think it indicates something more here. I think it indicates the overwhelming will of the Los Angeles Superior Court to retain these benefits that the Court of Appeals has declared unconstitutional and has given them $46,000 extra a year.
The Superior Court hired a powerful and expensive legal team to fight to protect the illegal personal payments to the judges. And then the court wanted to dodge the huge legal bills from their expensive legal beagles by dumping them on Judicial Watch. As late entry interveners, they couldn't do this, so they were forced to withdraw their demand.
So the court asks the court to participate as a defendant, and then it also says that it might, at the end of the case, it may seek to have us, our client and the nonprofit Judicial Watch that is representing the client, pay its attorney's fees if it wins. And it's just extraordinary for a public entity, the court, to come in and ask the court to order a taxpayer to pay its attorney's fees. And you got to ask who these attorneys are. The court has gone out and hired Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, which is a very prestigious, I'm sure it's a very expensive, nationally known law firm to try to defend these benefits. The court also went out and hired lobbyists to lobby the legislature. I think they charged $10,000 a month, or they paid $10,000 a month.
And who paid for that?
Well, we we're not exactly sure where the money came because the court's budgets are not as transparent as other government entities. We think it came from the court's funds. Of course, those funds come from the taxpayers ultimately, so you do have the taxpayers footing the bill for the court's lawyers to try to continue to allow the county to pay all these extra benefits to the court. It gets very confusing, but that's part of the sort of the extraordinary nature of the case, with the court coming in and asking the court to continue to pay these benefits.
It seems so obvious that the LA Superior Court judges should recuse themselves from any case where the county is a litigant. But blinded by their greed, it apparently isn't obvious to the judges.
If you think about all the the litigation that the county has pending in front of the court, any kind of lawsuit that's filed against the county is filed here and is considered here. So you effectively have a party to a lot of lawsuits that are going on in the court, coming in and paying the judges $46,000 a year extra. Now, certainly any other plaintiff couldn't do that without people's, crying foul, talking about the appearance, the bad appearance that creates, and yet the county is doing that. And we think one of the reasons why the California Constitution says the legislature should set judicial compensation is to precisely avoid that kind of appearance.
Both the Judicial Watch attorneys have some very pointed questions they would like to ask their opposing counsel.
Why did the judges seek immunity and escape from liability in that legislation that they sought from the legislature? What did they have in mind? Who made the decision? And, what's his opinion about it? That would be a very telling question.
Okay, what would you ask?
Who's paying you and how much? Because we know that the money has to be coming from the court. But who's paying them?
And how much?
And how much?
And what about who benefits?
And who benefits? Well, I think it's pretty obvious who benefits. The judges continue to benefit by getting an extra $46,000 a year that the state has not authorized. So.
But as in all things with public policy, government doesn't have any money of its own. It only has the funds that it takes from us, the taxpayers. If they lose, who pays them?
Taxpayers.
Well, wait a minute. They wanted you to pay for it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so if they lose, Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher is going to send them a bill, the judges a bill?
They'll send the court a bill. I mean, we'd like to be able to see that bill, but
keep in mind that these are both two of the largest law firms in the country. That's right. And those fees they have never disclosed. And I think as a matter of public accountability, the judges ought to disclose how much did they pay these people, and over how long a period of time. Were they retained long before we had the litigation?
Who paid the lobbyists? I mean, the taxpayers are paying for Mr. Boutros to sit there in court and make his arguments and write his briefs, and they're paying. They're also paying for the county's lawyers, and there is a county attorney's office that, in the normal course, would handle this sort of litigation. The county's attorney's office usually handles litigation against the county, but I think it shows the importance that these benefits have to the court, to the judges, and to the county. But they need to do it. They need to get it right. They need to do it in the way that the Constitution says they can do it.
This is important for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is the amount of money involved.
Those payments have been going on, well, it's going on 12 years now. It's a lot of money that's been paid over the years.
Well, certainly over $250 million.
Over $250 million. You can only imagine how many sheriff's deputies could be hired for that much money, or how many other county services that could be supported today instead of being cut. It seems so obvious that after the ruling from the appeals court, the judge should rule that these payments should be stopped, and stopped immediately. But the attorneys from Judicial Watch aren't taking anything for granted.
A judge decides how he wants to reach a decision. He may leave out a lot of things, and we'll just have to wait and see. And again, keep in mind that we still have a court of appeal to go to if in fact it does not come out of our way.